In today's video, I wanted to talk about the sketch versus the final and the stages in between that nobody talks about, especially when you are a beginner artist and you are at a very awkward stage. Obviously, as you know, I consider myself beginner, maybe beginner intermediate, because sometimes I can draw something that looks like this, and then other days I draw something that looks like this. So I'm kind of at the awkward stage, I would say. There are some really funny instances online where you'll see someone doing a tutorial on how to draw something, right? And they'll do the beginning part, which is just a circle. The next thing will be the final finished piece. And honestly, I know that these videos are supposed to be like quite funny, which they are for sure, but then I was looking and reflecting on my own work recently because I've been trying to do a lot more illustrative work. I realized that a lot of the times when I'm doing a beginning sketch, it will literally look like that, like something simple like a circle or a few squiggles. And then I'll write a few notes about it and then it will turn into something else. The main purpose of this video is that I want to show you how I find the inspiration to take a piece going from something very simple to something more intricate. And as you know, on this channel, I like to keep it very real and talk about my personal experiences because I'm still on my art journey. I'm not at a point where I can draw with my eyes closed yet. So I feel like I'm still at a good point where I know enough, but then I also don't really know much. So I can sort of be that link in between. So anyone else that is in a stage like this can maybe benefit from my videos or, you know, not feel so alone with it. People don't talk about the really tragic sketches that you have in the beginning stages up until the final piece. Because of course, a lot of artists have perfectionism issues. So obviously a lot of the time online we'll only see a perfect finished piece, or if someone does actually show us the ideations that they did, piece that they were working on, it will only be the ones that they find perfect because they are trying to sell a brand at the end of the day. And I want to make videos like this to help people that are in the same situation as me. Making friends in the industry, they have spilled like a few secrets that they see some people doing. Let's say someone is out at a restaurant and they want to draw the food that's in front of them. They might just prop up their sketchbook and the food, take a picture, draw the food later, and then post that, but they won't disclose that on Instagram. Or they will do the sketch when they're in the restaurant, but then they will do a bunch of editing to it before they actually post it, so then it looks perfect. And again, they won't disclose that. So a lot of content is fabricated, and people are trying to look as perfect as they possibly can. Also, when you do get to a certain level, you want to share your failures. I don't know. There's a bunch of reasons why people do it. It just makes beginners feel a lot more stressed and I think overwhelmed at being in the industry because, like, what do you mean everything just looks perfect? Like, where are the mistakes? Where's the honesty? First of all, I'm going to talk about where to get inspiration from. So there are two main things that I do to get inspiration for my art. The first thing is to go onto a site like Pinterest or Tumblr. Can be a good alternative if you don't actually like Pinterest. The reason for this is that I think it's really important to, especially when you're a beginner, is to build up your visual library, right? So a lot of people can draw from their imagination because they've already, archived a bunch of things in their mind so they can, draw easily. But when you don't have that yet and you're not as confident to draw certain things and you need quite a lot of references, I think any site where you can look at one picture and that's giving you inspiration and then it gives you a bunch of other pictures to look at. Sites like that where you can just find multiple images that are similar are really important because you don't want to sort of lose that flow of creativity. A lot of the times I'll be drawing something and then I need a quick reference for something, or I like to see how artists approach drawing certain things in their work. So I just want to be able to quickly see that and then maybe see some similar artists or some similar, images. And then that helps me continue. The second thing that really does help me is sketchbooking. So these two things combined do really help me. But with sketchbooking, I make sure that I alternate my pages. So whether or not I'm doing studies or I'm then working on an illustration, I think it helps me nowadays to try and make my pages quite interesting in my sketchbook. Not every single page, or if I am doing studies, I will at least try and make the layout a little bit different. So I might do like 4 smaller images of a study and then some bigger ones on the right hand side, and then do something interesting at the bottom, and also changing between using maybe a fine liner pen or also colored pencil. It just, comparing to my first sketchbook that I ever did, I find that I have really improved at this, because my first sketchbook was just me sort of fighting for my life because I was trying to get back into art. Whereas when I compare it to now, I'm playing around a lot more with the pages and what I'm creating. So this becomes fun. So you're no longer completely stressed at what you're putting on the page, but you're also having a lot of fun with creating. And I feel like for that, it takes me back to being a kid where you're not crippled with anxiety and you're just having fun just to create something. So yeah, it's quite fun to get into the more arts and crafts side with your sketchbook as well. So now for the actual process. First, I'll begin with a quick sketch just because I need to get the idea out. But that helps me as well is to add a few notes, keywords, which was nature, swirly, leaves, and lily pads. Because, well, I knew that me doing this quick sketch, I was absolutely not going to remember what vision I had for it, because I probably wasn't going to come back to this maybe for quite some time, but I didn't want to be completely lost. So my first approach would be to go onto Pinterest and to look at all of the keywords that I have already written in my sketchbook. So I would type in nature, lily pads, water, because obviously lily pads are normally on water. So with the keyword that I added that says swirly, I really like to draw the hair in a certain way for a lot of my prints. And I'm also really heavily inspired by Asian art. So a lot of the times they might draw hair in a similar way and it'll be quite flowy. So that is what I meant. So I would just look at, art that is inspired by that. And here, then I will start to refine the image some more and then just start drawing. The really important thing is to do a lot of ideations of your work. So to do many different versions. So don't always just stick with the original one, because that's not necessarily the best. You might end up then still going with the original one, but at least you were able to have that critical thinking. So I look at other artists, as I mentioned, for inspiration. Looking at other artists for inspiration is completely fine. Like, there is nothing wrong with it. Just don't copy someone. If we're being very real, let's think about how many styles are popular at the moment as well, right? A lot of people do strive to have one particular kind of style, and there is definitely there's like one or two that are definitely very prominent in the art community. And like, you might see one piece of work and think, oh, this looks like somebody's, but it's actually someone else's, because a lot of people are drawing in the same style. It's bound to happen, and a lot of people are going to be interested in that style and they want to draw in that particular way. It's just something that happens. It's inevitable. So you can take inspiration from other people's artwork, but as long as you're not completely stealing it or trying to train AI, then it's completely fine. So I don't know, like when I see some videos, they're just like, oh, I will look at this one thing and then I will get completely inspired. I think as a beginner as well, that's very unrealistic. I think sometimes creativity comes naturally to people, but for a lot of other people, you have to train it. It's nice to see how someone else has approached something, so then you can see how you want to approach it. My piece might start out as something completely different, and then I absolutely fail at it. So then I'm like, okay, let me just do something completely different, because that's clearly not working out for me. So yeah, the whole point of this video was that I wanted to show that someone can post something that you might think looks amazing, but they don't necessarily show the struggle that it took to get there. Because for me, I will work on a piece and then it completely strays from how I thought it was going to look in the beginning, and that's completely fine. It just means that I was working down a certain path and then it didn't necessarily align with either my skills or the vision that I began to have as I started making all of these different ideations. On TikTok, I do show a lot more of the like tragic sketches. Yeah, I want to be realistic with how I draw certain things. And just the fact that nobody else really, I think, shares that, or when they do share their tragic sketch, it's really not. It looks perfectly fine. So yeah, I hope that this video helps someone, or at least you know that you're not alone, and maybe you've come up with a different way to approach your artwork. But for me, at my current level, this is something that really helps me to look onto Pinterest or Tumblr. And then to look at a lot of other people's work that really inspires me, and then to look at different sort of patterns and shapes, try to get inspiration from there as well. Also, taking a break from my work can really help me come back to it with a better mindset, and I'm ready to sort of, start again, as opposed to just to keep drawing something and then you're just wearing yourself down, which then is when burnout comes to say hello. And we don't need that.